mean, really, in a certain respect, he was somewhat apolitical, and he was a character that basically represents, I think, where a lot of people stand these days, where we all kind of feel somewhat unrepresented and not exactly, you know, in a camp or any camp. I mean, I can say I feel that way at this stage of the game. I certainly have grown up a liberal, and that's been my viewpoint for most of my life. But now I find myself certainly not a conservative, certainly not a liberal. I see the common sense in all things, and I think that is kind of what Bran was a guy that responded to the situation on the table as opposed to siding with a camp. And
Mm.
I that's what made him a good choice to be the king, or at least in the writers and producers' mind, the correct choice to
Yeah, I
be.
can see that perspective. I hadn't thought about that, how the messianic character is always broken. I hadn't I you know, you're right. I think they went with that. That makes a lot of sense. I wanted to ask you a question um, about kind of, I guess, there is something that's really interesting is what we see with the Lannisters regime in Westeros is they, they didn't have psychiatrists with eye clamps. They just had executioners. you know, it, it was,
It's true.
but there is still the abuse of power, and I think kind of different methods to get to the same place. But what do you think it says about just or what did you enjoy? I guess about watching the different portrayals of power from the establishment and how it can be abused, but also how its abuse spurs up rebellion or resistance.